Avery, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. And how are you doing?
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, and I'm doing really well. How about you?
I'm doing well. Obviously it's finals week is coming up next week, so I've been basically studying for that. So it's nice to have a little bit of a break to not study this week. So thank you for joining me today. I appreciate the break.
Well, I'm happy to help. So,
Now, obviously, I want to start off the podcast just talking about the beginning of your hockey career and kind of working all the way up to where you are today. So you're from Burlington, Ontario. What's it like growing up there? Talk about growing up there and how did you start playing hockey?
yeah, I've been in Burlington my whole life. Like my sister and brother, they were born in Montreal, but then they moved here, and when they moved here, they started playing hockey. I think my sister did was the very first one to start playing, and then at like a young age, at like 5, I guess I just started skating, like doing skating lessons and stuff like that. And then by 6, I was playing house league. And I guess, I don't know, it's just been a big part of my family. Like, I have 4 siblings and all of us play, or did play at one point. Um, and it was never like by force or anything. My parents just like let us choose, and we all just, I guess, seeing each other do it made us want to do it as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, did you have a favorite player growing up, whether it was on the Toronto Maple Leafs or was it a women's player on the national team?
I'd say when I was really young, it would be FNUF. Like, it definitely has changed since then, but I think like from grade like 1 to 4, it was him. And then obviously when Matthews came.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Is it have you ever tried to emulate like an Austin Matthews goal by any like at all? Because I feel like I need to see that at some point when you get to Yale.
No, I have not tried that yet.
Well, hopefully you do at some point. We just want to wait. We just need to see that at some point in the near future. That's all. That's the only suggestion I have. But getting back to the interview, obviously you currently play for the Burlington Baracudas in the PWHL. I'm curious how you got the opportunity to join that organization. I know your sister played there before, but was it just the connection that you had with your sister there, or was there like another reason why you wanted to join the PWHL and play for Burlington Barracudas?
Well, I played Burlington like for like the beginning, I guess, few years of my like hockey career, and then I moved to Stony Creek. And then like in my last year of Stony, I started like APing for my sister's team a few times. And I think it was like the connection, like obviously her being on the team, and I wanted to play with her because I was gonna have 1 year I was able to play with her. And obviously that was the COVID year, but I think her being on that team, and also I just wanted to play for my hometown for my junior years.
How does it work? Like, what does it mean to be AP'd, and like, how do you join like the junior team essentially? And I know there's like different levels for each club.
hmm So I guess junior teams you're allowed to like call up players from any level and any like organization. Like you just have to sign a form basically. So like that's what they did when I was in Bantam, and then I at the end of my Bantam year I signed with them. So I just skipped my midget year and went straight to junior.
And obviously, you've played with many wonderful players during your time with Burlington so far. You played with Christina Walker and Kyla Josephic, who are currently with UConn. So how does playing with those type of players help your hockey development?
So I kind of grew up watching them play just because they played with my sister for so long. Um, so they were honestly role models for me. And then getting to play with them, I think just really like they push you to be better. And like I got really close with them like off ice too, and they're some of my closest friends now. And they're both very talented players, and yeah, I was really lucky to have the opportunity.
Now, obviously, Yale is involved with the Nutmeg Classic. Now, they weren't in it this year, which is a little disappointing. I know they want to go out to Vegas instead of playing in that, but uh, eventually, hopefully, at some point when you play that, you probably play UConn. How excited are you to play against those two players and have them not be on your team? That must be weird for you.
Yeah, it definitely will be, and obviously they're really skilled, so I don't know how much I look forward to it. I'm excited because 2 more girls on my team are also going there, so that'll be really fun. All of us playing again.
That's awesome. Well, how do you think your time in Burlington has helped your hockey development, I guess? Like, talk about your first year with the team and now, and like how you've developed as a hockey player since then.
I'd say it's everything from like the off ice training, like on ice training, to like the coaches and the staff. Um, they've definitely like the organization has developed over the years, and like just the culture and I'd say the environment, and everyone pushes each other to be better, and you get a lot of opportunities there.
What's the best memory you have with Burlington so far? I know there's still memories to be made this season, but as of right now.
I'd say probably last weekend with my team this year, we won the US Canada Cup, and we went like 5-0 in the weekend, and we beat some of the top US teams, which was really exciting. So
Yeah,
yeah.
what's like I guess like how does that competition like I'm curious when you play against teams from like other leagues, is there like a different playing style and how does that competition sort of like make you a better overall player?
Yeah, well, the good thing about when we do these tournaments, we get to play teams like we never play, like the ones from the States. And I wouldn't say like the playing like the way they play is way different than the way Canadian teams play. It's just like different players that you never get to play against.
Now, obviously for college hockey fans that have never seen you play before, just describe your game to them and what do you hope to bring to Yale next season and what do you hope to continue to do with Burlington for this season as well?
I'd say like I'm a mix of like an offensive and defensive defense. I'd say like the defensive side is more like a like priority to me. Like like I'm stronger on that end, and I'm hoping to like improve my game on the offensive side. And I think that Yale does a really good job at like developing like offensive defense. Like from watching them and like Emma Seitz or someone like her, like who's really strong offensively.
And how do you work on your offensive part of the game? Because obviously you want to like you don't want to be too aggressive and like get out of position, and then obviously the other team can take advantage of that. So like, how do you balance both trying to bring enhance that offensive part of your game while also maintaining the defensive abilities that you've developed over your time with Burlington?
I think it's definitely like a balance. Like you have to look for the right opportunities to jump in the play, and get that offensive side. And it's not like all about scoring. Like I guess making passes and getting assists is also another way of doing that. Um, and yeah, it's all about like the timing, I guess.
Now, talk about 3-on-3 overtime. That's something that was introduced to college hockey few seasons ago. I'm curious, does the PWHL do 3-on-3 overtime? And if not, how do you plan to adapt to overtime situations when you get to college?
Well, this year they stopped doing it. Last year when we were playing, we did have it. Um, so I was able to play it a few times, and I remember a bunch of games that we did it. Um, and even in practices, like we'll do like small area games and 3-on-3 and things like that, just to stay like on top of it. Because it's definitely a good skill to have. Like either way, it's just like controlling the puck and being creative.
Yeah, I love 3-on-3 overtime as a fan, but I'm curious as a player, do you enjoy it as well? Because I know some players are not big fans of it, but some are. I'm curious where you stand on that.
I'd say yes and no. It's super nerve-wracking, but I think it's super fun. Like you just like have a lot of open ice and room to skate with the puck.
Yeah, I've heard the big thing is possession of the puck during
Hmm.
3-on-3 overtime because the more you have possession, the less the team has the chance to score, obviously. I'm curious how do you maintain that possession of the puck, especially like when you've been on the ice for like 2 to 3 minutes. It must be very like you must be super tired. So I'm curious like how you try to maintain possession of the puck while being tired, while trying to make line changes, but also trying to create scoring opportunities. It seems like there's a lot going on. How does that work out with your team and how do you plan to enhance those abilities as you grow into your hockey career into college?
Yeah, it's definitely hard because like once you lose it, it's pretty hard to get it back because most teams have the same strategy, like keep possession. But I'd say just like not panicking, and if someone's like if you're under pressure, not throwing it away. And even like if you're in the offensive zone and bringing it back out and regrouping and things like that, rather than just like trying to get a bad shot off and they take the puck.
That's the one nice thing about as a defenseman, it must be nice to just like if something's not working out, just to take it out of the zone because you can't do that in basically any situation. So I feel like that's must be nice as a
Hmm.
defenseman to do that.
Yeah, it is.
Now let's dive into your recruiting process at Yale and just some college hockey questions. So obviously talk a little bit about your recruitment process at Yale. How did that go, and what made you want to go to an Ivy League school versus other ones you might have looked at?
I'd say like the education was like a huge factor for me, and like getting a really strong degree and something that I can like definitely have a future with. Um, and that was like part of the Ivy League, like I guess ideal part of it. But I'd say like because of the deadline before, I would like reach out to coaches and stuff, and obviously there's no response and anything. But then when the deadline hit, I started having conversations with them, and then it like built up to me committing, which was really exciting. And I think like a lot of it was I was super excited to play with my sister, and the coaches there are amazing. Like they're super nice, and they really care about the players, and they're like enhancing their skill, and like not just them on ice, but them off ice too.
And obviously, you get to play in the ECAC, and you talked about a few minutes ago how you enjoyed playing the competition in the U.S. just because you get to play teams that you normally don't get to play. Arguably, the ECAC is one of the best conferences in college hockey because you play all those top Ivy League schools and then other schools that aren't in the Ivy League like Clarkson and Quinnipiac. How excited are you to face that competition in the ECAC, especially since some of the top players in your league you'll be playing against as well when you get into college?
Oh, I'm super excited. I personally I enjoy playing like stronger teams. I feel like I play better when we play against like tougher competition rather than like an easy game, I guess. I feel like a lot of players could agree with that. And yeah, like watching the games, like all of them are really tough competition. It doesn't seem like there is one that's like, oh, this will be a light game. Like any game, it can go any way.
Any team or rank that you're looking forward to play in?
Ooh, I wouldn't say there's any in particular.
Not even Hobie Baker and Princeton. I've heard that one's super nice.
Cool. I don't know. I've never seen it.
Oh, you gotta check it out. It's the oldest rink in college hockey. I think it's over 100 years old, if I'm not mistaken, or just turned 100 years old. And I like those old school barns just because you don't really get that design you don't see that design that much anymore. And I feel like it just must be cool to play in. But I've heard Lina at Cornell is also super cool as well, but I've never been there, so I can't really talk to you about that one.
I know the Penn State rink is massive and it's pretty cool to be in too.
Yeah, that's a really nice rink. There's a reason why they're hosting the Frozen Four again in 4 years. Now, obviously, have you been watching any Yale hockey this year? I know you've been busy, but do you still do you follow the team at all or keep in tabs with what's going on?
Yeah, I go to watch a few games. I know my family watches them on ESPN Plus, whatever, and I like when I can't watch the games, I like follow them along on Twitter, and they've been doing really, really well again like last year. And I know their rookies this year are like doing really well, and their forward lines are super strong, and so are their defense.
Yeah, Alex, what's it been like to see the success they've had this season? I know obviously it must be exciting for you knowing because you have a sister on the team, but does that make you even more excited to go there in the future just because you know that you're going to be joining a really good team once you get to college?
Oh yeah, it's definitely making me excited and wanting to get there. Um, I know from the things she tells me, like the girls are great and the team and the coaches and everything. Um, and yeah, seeing the success they've had this year, like yet again, it's just making me super excited.
Now, what was your thoughts on the last year's Frozen Four run? Did you get the chance to go to any of those games in person?
No, my parents did, and like they were sending videos and everything, and it looked super cool. Yeah.
Now, obviously, what do you think will be the biggest adjustment you have to make in college hockey?
It's definitely like a quicker game. I think like just overall like increasing speed and like making quicker decisions. And definitely the physicality of the players in D1 hockey is like a whole nother level from junior hockey. So it's something I'll have to get used to for sure.
How do you get used to that physicality, especially since players are going to be 4 years older than you are?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it is like summer training, like leading up to the season. And like the gym that I train at here, like there's a lot of D1 girls there, so I get to train with them throughout the summer, which is pretty cool. And I think it will take some time, obviously, adjusting once I get there, and it's kind of about experience. So
Now, something I find very interesting about yourself doing research on your hockey career is how your development has been affected by the pandemic. And I feel like a lot of recruits that are coming into college hockey in the next 2 years, it's something that they can all relate to. So my question to you is, how have you tried to develop your game when there's been a lot of pauses in your season the past 2 years? And how have you sort of handled those challenges that you faced?
I think a lot of it's about mindset, like knowing that like it's kind of out of my control and that it's like something that a lot of players and girls my age are going through. And just trying to be positive about it, I guess, and just doing the things that are in my control. So I guess like shooting and working out and things like that. Um, and I guess anything that I can do, basically.
Yeah, and obviously, what'd you do that 1 year when you guys didn't play any games at all? Because I feel like that's hard to develop your game when you're not playing at all. But I felt like a lot of people like sort of there were some positives to take away from that season, even though you didn't play a game.
Hmm. Yeah, it was pretty weird when we did get back to games. Like that first game back, I remember it was just a really odd experience. Um, but I guess we just did a lot of skill training, and which is something important. And you don't do a ton of it during when you're playing games and during the year because it's mostly about like flow and systems and stuff. So I guess it was just like a year of working on things like that and your off ice skills more so.
You think there was a lot more goal scorers in the PWHL after that season, just because everyone was working on those like stick handling drills and stuff like that?
I feel like maybe, yeah.
Now, have you had the chance to meet any of your freshman class with Yale at all, or do you know any of them, or do you know any of the players currently on the team besides your sister?
I know some of them. I know Tiana Miskovich just because she was from Burlington, and played here, and I've got to meet a bunch of the girls, just through her. But I know there's two girls on Oakville committed going my year, and I've met both of them. And then I haven't really met anyone else, like obviously through Instagram and stuff. Like I know
Hmm.
who some of them are, but I haven't actually got the chance to meet them.
And how do you build chemistry with players that you've never met before?
I think just probably a little awkward at first, but I feel like that's on all teams, and then like you spend so much time together, it's just pretty easy.
Yeah, it's because I feel like that's an adjustment that people don't really talk about enough. Because usually with junior teams, you sort of known those players your
Mhm.
entire life, and then you get to college and like you sort of have to build chemistry with people you've never met before. And usually it works out, but I'm just curious like how that works.
Yeah, because like here, like even if they're new players on the team, you've probably heard of them because they're just
Hmm.
on like local teams, but there could be people from like different countries.
Yeah, and obviously, like there's gonna be players from Ontario, British Columbia, obviously the US. So it just like it's cool to see like how you guys all come together from different parts of North America usually and sort of like build that chemistry. I think it's an important part of each team because I feel like championship teams, you need to have a good culture in the locker room or else it's hard to be successful. And it starts off with building that chemistry and sort of getting to know all your teammates, even if you haven't known them for so long.
Mm.
Now, obviously, we've mentioned her a few times in the podcast, so I do have to ask. Your older sister does play for Yale currently. We had her on the podcast before, and she said a lot of nice things about you. So I'm curious, what has she told you about the school, and how excited are you to play with her in college? And what's it like having an older sister that also plays high-level hockey like you do?
Oh, well, she's obviously always been a role model to me growing up, and it's kind of been my dream to get to play with her. And that one year in COVID, like we were about to, and I was like we were both super excited about that, and it didn't really happen. And then so having the chance now to play with her for 2 years is like super exciting. And she loves the school, like everything about it, like the campus, like her teammates, the people, and even this just like the schoolwork itself. She it's super hard, but it's just still enjoyable, and like just the whole environment there is really great.
Yeah, that's gonna be another adjustment, balancing academics and hockey. Have you been trying to prepare for that this year?
Yeah. Well, school seems super busy this year, so I feel like it's just like probably a good way to prepare for that.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, so we can get to know you a little bit more off the ice. So first question is, obviously Yale is located in New Haven. New Haven's known for its pizza. What's the best pizza place you've ever been to?
Oh, I'd say probably when I went to Italy, the pizza places there were just way better.
Well, I would hope so since they
Yeah.
like they invented pizza, but I would be disappointed if they were not as good as they were here in North America. Now, if there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself?
I'd probably say like Sandra Bullock, just because she's my favorite actor. So I think she's
Now,
funny. So
yeah, yeah. Well, because when we had your sister on a couple of years ago, she said Olivia Munn. There's like an actor with the same name as her, so I feel like that'll be a good movie with Olivia Munn and Sandra Bullock. So I don't know if they probably don't listen to College Hockey Talk, but if they do, it'll just be a fun movie to make.
yeah.
So now, what's the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
I'm reading the book Crazy Rich Asians. It's probably that.
What's that about?
It's just like like the rich Asian society, I guess. Like all the drama that goes on in it, and it's pretty cool.
Nice. I don't know anything about that. I think they made a movie about that though,
Yeah,
if
they
I'm not
did.
mistaken.
Yeah, I'm reading the book because I watched the movie and I liked it. So
Was the movie good?
yeah, it was really
Yeah, obviously you just said that, my bad. But no, that's good. That's good. For me, probably just the World Cup. Really
yeah.
into soccer right now, and it's cool seeing like all the different countries like competing with each other, and then just reading about like Ronaldo and Messi and how it's like their final World Cup. And I don't know, I just thought that was pretty interesting, and just seeing how popular soccer is around the world.
You know, a lot of my teachers are playing it during class time just because like it's so exciting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's disappointing that USA got knocked out a couple of days ago, but now I can just enjoy the game without like worrying too much, which is a nice feeling. Now, what is your biggest pet peeve?
Loud chewing. Oh, it drives me crazy.
I don't know if you guys deal with this in Canada, but probably like bad drivers. That's really frustrating to deal with. So it happens a lot here in the States, but I don't know. I feel like you guys are nice in Canada, so it probably doesn't happen too
Oh no,
much.
there's still some bad drivers. Very frustrating.
Now, what music do you like to listen to?
Country is probably my favorite. I'd say I like gay
Nice.
days. It's probably like rap and things like that, more like pump up music, but in my anytime else it's country.
Who's your go-to artist?
Working well.
Nice. What's your thoughts on his new three songs that he released? I love Tennessee Fan. That's probably
Yeah,
like
that
what
was
I've
my
been
favorite too.
that's what I've been listening to recently.
Me too.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you want to like live down south and like go to
Yeah.
college football games, but like I'm not really interested in that too much, which is kind of so that's how I know it's a good song if he makes me like want to do something like that. Now, I want to ask you a few questions about some of your teammates in Burlington. First one is, who is the funniest teammate you have in Burlington?
I'd say definitely. I think my whole team would agree on this. A girl named her name's Tegan Gray.
Now, which teammate at Burlington it takes the longest to get back to you via text message?
Oh, I feel like probably one of our goalies, Shannon. Yeah.
Now, which teammate has the cleanest stall?
Hmm. Oh, I feel like they're all really messy. Like, um, I'd say probably Bryn Pryor.
Now, obviously, I know Burlington doesn't post any of the pregame outfits that you guys come up with. At least I haven't seen it. So I'm just going to assume that you have the best style on the team. But besides yourself, who has the best style on Burlington?
I'd say either Vicky Borg or Abby Thibodeau.
Now, one more non-hockey question is if you could play any other sport besides hockey, what would that sport be?
Field hockey.
Have you played it before?
Yeah, I play it. I play it in like on my high school team, and I love it. But
That's awesome. I
yeah,
don't know anything about that sport. Is it like hockey on a field? I might sound like an idiot saying that, but is that what it is?
it's basically a mix of hockey and soccer. Like, and they're only like right-handed sticks. So I'm a right-hand like hockey player, so it's pretty easy for me, and it's super fun.
I gotta get into that. It looks interesting, but like I hear about it, but I never see it, if that makes
It's
sense.
really
So
really weird to watch. Like, it's not. I don't think it's very enjoyable to watch, but it's fun to play.
yeah, maybe I should play it then instead of watch. I don't know, but it's definitely interesting for sure. Now, getting back to some hockey questions now. First one is, what should be done to help grow women's hockey in your opinion? I'm curious to hear what you have to say because I feel like players who are in college versus players who are out of college versus players who are about to go in college have different opinions about how to grow the sport. So I'm curious to hear your perspective on that.
I'd say probably like I think it needs more advertisement. Like obviously the more things are shown like to public eye, the more like they're seen and like the more it's able to grow. I mean like TV channels when they like broadcast like women's games and stuff, like they typically only do like finals or like the big games, but they don't do anything else. So I feel like it's hard to build off of that when people are only watching the one game. And like the sad part of it is a lot of it is like to do with money and a lot of it has to do with money. Um and I feel like the funding for it is obviously it's hard to get, but like that needs to change also.
Well,
Just give
obviously,
people opportunities.
yeah, and obviously, if like people like, I think we saw it with the U18 tournament this past summer, because like someone was telling me like in 2020, it was like on a doorbell cam.
Yeah.
And then like they actually like put money into it this year and they broadcast on TSN and the viewership like went through the roof. So like it just like easy stuff like that I feel like helps the sport grow a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, for anyone listening to this podcast, what advice would you give them on like how to become a Division 1 hockey player and how to become a better hockey player like yourself?
I'd say it's a lot about putting in like the extra effort and the things that people don't see. Like all the extra training and the work and just always giving it like 110%. And like that's not something that like obviously scouts or coaches can see, but like it does better you. Even if like you don't think it does better you.
Now, do you have a obviously you know Burlington is a team in the PWHL, and I'm curious. We don't know too much about this team, but we're trying to promote junior hockey, high school hockey, and promote players that are about to go into college hockey. So I'm curious if there's anybody on your team that we should interview next. That would be fun to talk to.
Oh, I'd say a lot of girls. I think a lot of them would like love to do it. Pretty chatty bunch, so
Well, just let us know if there's any particular player we should reach out to, because I think it'll be fun to help grow your team just a little bit if this helps at all.
for sure.
Now, do you have any shout outs you want to give to your family members, teammates, friends, or do you want to promote anything? Feel free to do that. The time is yours.
It's okay. Well, thank you.
Well, I'll give you a shout out, Avery, because I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. It means a lot to myself. I wish you nothing but the best for the rest of your season with Burlington. I know you're going to do great, and I really appreciate, like I said, you coming on and taking time of your day. I know this took like we were planning this for like months. It feels like so. I'm glad it finally happened. So thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and it was a good opportunity.
Awesome. Now, one thing we do with